I'll call the Tuesday, August 13th, 2019 Finance Committee to order. Roll call. Alder Galvin.
Here.
Alder Dorf. Here. Alder Corpus Dax. Here. Alder Lefebvre. Here. Everyone is present. We'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Alder Corpus Dax, second by Alder Lefebvre to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from the July 9th, 2019 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Alder Galvin.
Second.
Second by Alder Corpus Dax. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, regular business. Item 1. Request by the Finance Director to review and discuss the 2018 year-end financial result and management communication for the city. The city's audit partner will be present to discuss documents with the committee. Welcome back again.
Yes, I would actually like to turn it right over to our audit firm. You guys
Do
would
we
like
need
come
to
up?
open the floor or not?
Are they considered staff?
Nope, I guess they would be, you would want to open this.
And motion to open the floor?
Second. Okay, motion over the floor by Alder Galvin, second by Alder somebody, Lefebvre? Oh, Alder Corpus Dax. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
I will let them
Floor is open.
introduce themselves.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Josh Swanson. I'm one of the audit managers
Hi,
for the
Josh.
city's audit.
And I'm Leah Lasecki. I'm also a manager with CLA.
They were Shank, and now they are under CLA.
Yep.
But were Shank when we had Shank?
Yes.
Now Shank is changed to CLE. Got it.
Yep.
All right. Take it away.
All right.
But you have to read it all 24 pages.
There's actually 198.
Okay, don't read all of them either. But go ahead.
All right. So there are two deliverables that each of you should have received. Okay, there's a comprehensive annual financial report, otherwise known as the CAFR, as well as the management letter. Okay, the CAFR has been prepared by the finance staff of the city, and the management letter is prepared by us. Okay, I'm going to be going through a little bit of the CAFR and explaining just some real high-level type stuff with the CAFR, and then Josh is going to take it over and explain some of the stuff within the management letter. Okay. All right, so please note that we are talking for the year ended December 31st, 2018. Okay? So if you turn real quick in the CAFR to page 2.
I don't think it's copies of the CAFR, but I can.
I don't think we do.
okay.
I only see one thing. Oh, so good.
Correct, we did not.
Oh.
These are available online.
That's why you said it was.
You can leave them with me if you don't want to carry the books home.
Okay.
Because they're always available
Makes more
online.
sense.
You're like 198 pages. How's it possible?
Okay.
All right, so if you turn in your books to page 2 to the table of contents, okay? A CAFR is really there's 4 parts to a CAFR. There's the introductory section, there's the financial section, which includes the audited financial statements, there's a statistical section, and a single audit section, okay? Our focus today is really going to be on the audited financial statements as well as on the single audit section, okay? Now, I want to point out that there's a ton of work that goes into the creation of a CAFR. As I previously said, this is derived from the city's finance department, and so you can imagine the time and effort that goes into preparing this document, okay? There's actually only 3 reports that are part of that CAFR that actually come from us. So it's a significant amount of work that the city puts into preparing it, okay? Really, our role as auditors is to offer an opinion on that information that we've been given, okay? But again, this is your document prepared by you, okay? If you could turn real quick to page 8 in the CAFR, there's a really important part of it that I'd like to point out in regards to awards and acknowledgments. This is the city's 36th year of receiving the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting from the GFOA. This is a really important distinction amongst governments, specifically because in the state of Wisconsin, there's only about 30 of them that receive this award, okay? And in order to receive this award, you have to go through a really rigorous process of having people from around the country that actually review your CAFR, okay? So it's really a testament to the day-to-day focus on financial accountability by your finance department, because it's certainly not something that you can just pull together at the end of the year. This is really a day-to-day focus on financial accountability. Okay? All right, I'm going to turn real quick to page 13. So this is going to be getting into the financial section of the CAFR, the audited financial statements, okay? Page 13 is your independent auditor's report. Again, this is one of 3 reports that we contribute to the overall audit, okay? There's a few important things that this report does say. And management's responsibility for the financial statements, we're talking a little bit about the fact that you provide us with the financial information that we audit. The information that you receive as a finance committee to review every month is the same information that we're auditing, okay? Under auditor's responsibility, you can read a little bit more about the fact that what we're doing is we're designing procedures to audit your books, essentially, okay? And then we're looking for material misstatements in your financial records, okay? After we do all of our audit procedures and bring everything together, we then offer what we call an audit opinion, and that's that last paragraph that you see at the bottom. So the key takeaway is that you've received an unmodified audit opinion, which in the audit world is the best opinion that you can get on your audit. Okay? All right. Then I'm going to turn your attention real quick to page 16. This is your management's discussion and analysis. This is prepared by the city. And quite honestly, if you don't have the time or the desire to review the 198 pages of the entire CAFR, this should be the focus. The city has done a fantastic job at pulling everything together for the year 2018, as well as retrospectively and prospectively, to give you a really good view of the financial health of the city. So if there's one spot, please spend a little bit of time focused on this management's discussion and analysis. Okay? So now I want to jump ahead to page 29 to 31, and these are your government-wide financial statements. Okay, and I'm going to talk about these real quick because the remainder of the audit, the statements and the schedules that are presented, are what you basically see as part of your budget and actual part of your monthly financial statements. But government-wide is a little bit different in the fact that it combines all the assets and all the liabilities of the entire government. So all governmental activities, all business type activities, the transit, water utility, all that kind of stuff, as well as the redevelopment authority. Okay? And really the primary focus of government-wide is to give you a true financial picture of the entire government, okay? And it's a big one. The city of Green Bay manages $807 million in assets. $560 million of that is all capital assets. So it's really giving you that focus of what you're really dealing with, not just so budget-based, okay? There's also some really good footnotes that you can refer to as well that support the government-wide. I would certainly encourage you to look at some of those footnotes, specifically capital assets, long-term debt. Those will give you a little bit more context to some of those statements. Okay? And the last section that I'm going to go over before I turn it over to Josh is the single audit section, and that you have to turn to page 179. And a lot of people are really surprised to hear that we actually do another audit on top of an audit. We certainly do the financial audit, but then on top of it, we do what's called a compliance audit. You receive a tremendous amount of funding from the federal and state governments, and in order to comply with those requirements, you have to continue to have an audit done by us to make sure that you're complying, okay? So we use a risk-based approach every year in determining what we're gonna audit as what we call major. So we obviously don't have the time to be able to audit everything, but this year we did audit transit for both federal and for state. And as a result of all those procedures that we do to determine compliance, then we determine whether or not you're complying with federal and state requirements, okay? We didn't have any findings as a result of any of those procedures, okay? So again, it's really reflective of the overall strong financial condition, you know, and as well as that strong focus on accountability that the finance staff has.
Would
Okay?
you audit different sections each time you do an audit?
Yes, yep.
You would kind of rotate them?
Yep,
Okay.
exactly, yep. We do, because it's risk-based, obviously if we've continued to do it, you know, for repeated years, we have to start looking at other programs to audit.
Okay.
Yep. So, okay. Unless there's any other questions, I'll turn it over to Josh.
All right. The other document you have is Title Management Communications. It's in your packet. Really, this is our contribution to the report, as Leah said. The Finance Department prepares the CAFR, and we provide kind of a brief summary of the results for the year in a more readable format similar to the MD&A. So starting on page 1, this goes into a little bit more detail of the audit. We look at internal control to design our tests. We don't provide an opinion on internal control, similar to if you're familiar with Sarbanes-Oxley. But we do review the processes and the controls that the city has in place to make sure that the financial information is reported accurately. Jumping to page 3 of the management communications, there are several estimates that are included within the financial statements that are significant, either from an estimate standpoint or from a dollar magnitude. So the top half of page 3 summarizes those significant estimates, such as your participation in the Wisconsin retirement system, your other post-employment liability, capital asset life depreciation rates. Those are all estimates that can fluctuate from year to year and may have a significant impact within your financial statements. On the bottom of page 3, we did not have any uncorrected misstatements, and we also did not have any disagreements with management. Obviously, we work very closely with the finance department, but part of our audit, we also visit other departments, look at their processes and controls to make sure what departments are doing on an individual level is in accordance with accounting policies that the city has in place. And so we appreciate everyone's time and efforts, not only in finance and other departments as well, to get prepared for the audit. So worked very well. Jumping to page 5, I'll get into some of the summary financial information here. The top of page 5 talks about the general fund. You can see comparative numbers from 2017 and 2018. So you will see a decrease in your general fund balance. However, a lot of that decrease was planned. You had a $953,000 budget deficit this year. You can see the unassigned fund balance dropped from about $14.5 million to $12.5 million, so about a $2 million decrease exactly. That is explained more on page 7 and 8. So this is a chart that shows historical numbers from 2015 to 2018. You can see both unassigned fund balance and total general fund balance, as well as management's response. So your total fund balance is right below the city's policy at 16%, whereas your policy is 17 to 25%. Nothing significant to be concerned about, but continue to monitor that as that has been decreasing in prior years.
And I think we've been informed of that many times,
Yep.
and we're pretty aware of that, so
Yep.
thank you.
And your unassigned fund balance is right within your policy at 13.9%, between the 9 and 16%. So overall, your general fund, while again it has decreased, is still pretty healthy. Special revenue funds, you can see the variety. Flipping back to page 5. There are a handful of funds that capture activity that need to be recorded separately. Nothing too significant or unusual in those funds this year that we'll go through. But you can see the balances from 17 and 18 there. On page 6 and the top of page 7, you'll see all of the capital project fund balances. These you tend to get a few more swings in the fund balance just due to the timing of the funding and timing of the projects. You can see all of your TIF districts are included as capital projects funds. And the one item I'll note is the deficit TIF balances on page 7. You'll see about a total of $8.8 million in all of your TIF district deficits. So that's, again, just due to the timing of when the project expenditures are done versus when the TIF levy is received.
Would there have been any impact, Dana, from the wheel tax with the street construction and sidewalks are up from 2017, but was anything, or did it just start?
Not in
Probably
18,
not
what that would have
18.
been is probably just timing of borrowing of the money, not
Timing.
in spending it down fast
Okay.
enough in 18.
Okay.
Wheel tax would have first started in January of 19.
That's what I was thinking. So we might see something very different in the audit next year? These
Correct, and that
numbers
is
might
actually
be
considered
different.
another special revenue fund. So it actually will be a new special revenue
New
fund
special revenue,
that will show
okay.
up, called the wheel tax.
Okay.
Then just a couple of self-insurance funds that I'll review, starting on page 9. Your health self-insurance fund overall had a good year. An increase in net position of nearly $200,000. And you can see management's response. Everything is in good position for your health insurance fund. The workers' compensation self-insurance fund on the page 10. Smaller dollars than the other health insurance fund, but overall, you did increase your net position and bringing that to a positive. One thing to note with this fund, there is a large IBNR estimate liability captured in, so you can see, as discussed in management's response, there is about $1.2 million reserved for that as well, in addition to the $1,785. And lastly, the liability self-insurance fund on page 11. Again, a smaller scale than the health insurance fund. This fund did decrease significantly, as I'm sure you're aware, due to the settlement payout. So that's captured in primarily in 2018. So that's the biggest reason for the decrease in that fund. As far as new accounting standards, just a couple things I want to touch on. Accounting and reporting for leases. It doesn't just capture leases, it captures any contracts that you may have. So it's just something to be aware of as far as capital leases, operating leases, any equipment that you lease, any buildings, any leases that you would have to other entities. All of that falls under the new financial reporting standard for leases. So it could be a time-consuming project to gather that information, even though the language of the contract may not say lease. It may be a lease under the new standard. So
this is something new?
Something new for 20...
Beginning after December 15th, 2019?
Yeah. Yep. So it's just upcoming.
Coming up.
But yeah. So
Okay.
Get some new items on the balance sheet as far as recognizing the total lease value.
It's a lot more work, isn't it? Yeah, I can see that.
And the other item, accounting and reporting for fiduciary activities. Although you don't report any fiduciary funds, if the city were to start collecting taxes instead of Brown County, if you were to have any agency funds collecting money from on behalf of other entities, that would fall under the new fiduciary standard. So it just changes some of the terminology and schedules. So again, just something to be aware of for next year if you were to start any fiduciary funds.
You have to consider that.
And that is all I have in the management communications letter. Are there any other questions or items that you had that you'd like to discuss?
I did mine all along, so.
Yeah, no.
Do you have any comments or concerns you think we ought to be aware of?
No, nothing that we feel that we would need to bring to your attention. From our perspective, the other went very well. And like I said, everyone was willing to get us what we needed. So no issues from our side.
I do want to give a huge thank you to Diana and Pam. You cannot understate the amount of work that goes into preparing for an audit. And we walk in and it's incredibly organized, and we do appreciate that very much.
They're pretty great.
Yes, they are.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, any other questions? Otherwise, we have to close the floor.
I'll make a motion to close the floor.
Okay, motion by Gallen, second by Alder LaFave to close the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Do you, we don't really need action, but do we need receive and place on
Receive and place on
file? Okay, I'll accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to receive and place on file.
By Alder LaFave. Second by Alder Purpose. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Receive and place on file. All right. Next agenda item. Report on the final sale of the 2019 refunding bonds related to the 2009 taxable general obligation, Build America bonds.
Okay, I have John Mean here from Baird, and he is going to give us a recap of the final sale.
Thank
This
you.
year, we did it a little bit different. We had a resolution to go and sell when it was the best time, and so we got that pre-approved. So we've already talked about this refunding.
We have,
Here's
yes.
the outcome of what happened at the sale.
All right.
Great.
Excited.
Good afternoon. Hopefully you got these
We have
sheets.
that, yes.
Okay, I'll just walk through this briefly.
Okay.
As Diana just covered, back on July 9th, I came before the group and said,
Good.
let's do a parameter resolution, look at timing, thinking about things. The Fed met at the end of the month, so that was factored into the timing. Unemployment numbers came out like August 1st or something, so that was, let's just see how things would come out. And then we came to market on the 5th, so we somewhat let all that clear out. But we wanted to get early because as it's turned out, August was getting to be a busy month. There's a lot of issues coming to market, so we were able to get ahead of it, which worked out well. Once again, as far as the current issue itself on page 2, it was a 2009 Build America bonds. At the time you issued those as taxable bonds, it could have been done tax exempt, but because of the subsidy you were receiving from the feds, mathematically, it was better to do them as a taxable issue. You did it in 2009 and 2010, did it 2 times, and then the program closed out. All over the country, people did BABs, Build America bonds. But there was a provision in the bonds that said the bonds could be called as of April 1 of 2019 and any day thereafter. And so we're into that call time period. We could call them away from the existing bondholders and replace them with new bonds. The structure was a 20-year issue, so it always went from 2009 to 2029, and we've kept that same structure. So all we're doing is replacing old with new. On page 3, just talk a little bit about the issue size. It was $6,575,000. We moved it from a taxable issue to a tax exempt. Okay, because once again, with the subsidy, it's better now to go tax exempt. The rates are so much lower. The rating of the city is at a AA3, so that's reflected, the change in the rating is reflected here.
Yes.
The maturities are 2020 through 29, so that's still April 1 of 2020 through 29, so that hasn't changed. And the true interest rate for the final is at 203. As a reference, I was using 2.50 as a number back on July 9th, and it came in at 2.03. The annual savings we were showing you back then was between 35 and 40 per year. It came in between 49,000 to 60,000. Savings annually came in significantly higher. As far as the present value basis, when you take after all the cost, the savings to the city was just under $500,000. So this came in
Well, that's a good thing.
$485,000 after all the cost. We were projecting $345,000. Now that was before, once again, the feds did that 0.25% rate cut, before the unemployment numbers came out. We were really internally looking at, okay, do we go the 27th, or do we go to the 31st? What do we, how do we work this through? And we decided just to wait till the 5th to let all that clear through.
Wow.
So the savings as a percent was at 7%, which is pretty high. As far as where interest rates, when you go to, it's about page 5, they've dropped off the cliff. They've dropped and we've taken advantage of that drop. Okay, so we went ahead and put it there. They've bounced around a little bit, but I think that's where we are at this point. And then on the following page, I have an illustration of the refinancing itself, and all it shows is before what the debt was, and we took out all those maturities that were maturing 20 through 29. That's why it's just dotted there, and replaced them with new maturities. Paid off the old holders, now we have new holders. And then when you get to the far right side, you can see each year the savings, $53,000, $50,000, $54,000. So it's a reduction. Diana could speak to the purpose of the 2009 issue, but it was some general obligation. It was some sewer, I think, and maybe TIF?
Can't remember.
Yeah, something like that. It was a combination of things.
Just it was normal borrowing.
It's a normal borrowing that we did back in 2009. At the very back, we have a copy of the credit report itself from Moody's. All in all, I'd say good news for the city, good savings, and we'll continue to watch these opportunities going forward.
Good job.
As a parameter resolution, it has already been approved by the board, as that was part of the process. It came out of Finance Committee, went to the board as a parameter resolution. I think it was July 16th, remember the dates. There's no action that needs to be taken. It's really reporting results.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any questions the group may have?
No, it did even better than we thought it was.
It did. It did.
Good job.
All right. Thank you all very much.
All right. Close the floor.
Motion to close the floor.
First close the floor by Alder Galvin. Second by Alder Dax. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Anyone else want to speak? Anyone else? No. So receive and place on file?
Yes, please.
All right. Motion from Alder Galvin to receive and place on file. Second by Alder Dax. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Back to agenda details. Number 3, request by the Finance Director to consider with possible action the prepayment of 2 state trust fund loans with principal outstanding of $955,368.77 using debt service fund balance.
Whichever in front of you is, at times, we will go out, instead of borrow through the normal borrowing process, we will go to a state trust fund, to the Board of Commissioners of Public Land. And the purpose of the 2 loans that you have in front of you were considered taxable item loans. So when we would borrow, it would have cost us more when we were out to borrow, because they would have been taxable interest, taxable loans, and we would have had more issuance costs. So there was a cheaper route to go for borrowing. So in 2017 and 2018, we borrowed $500,000 for neighborhood enhancement funds. So those are the purpose of these 2 loans. And the advantage to a state trust fund loan is that you can prepay early. You can pay off your loans early, where you were restricted on when you're out for general obligation bonds and notes. So at this point, we have the option, because we have a building fund balance, that we decided that this would be a great time to pay off these 2 outstanding debt loans, which are general levy, general obligation borrowing. And we just think this would be a great time. Our fund balance has been growing over the last couple of years because of the way we've been going out for borrowing. And we are getting some premiums back, which are meant to be used for interest or to pay for loans in the future, to pay for your debt and your principal and interest in the future. So as our fund balance is growing, we decided this would be a great time to pay off almost $1 million in outstanding debt. And that would be taken directly from a fund balance. So that would be reduce outstanding debt, reduce next year's and future years' principal payments.
So in what, I know it helps the city, but explain a little more. In what way how does this help us, like with their overall rating and things like that?
It would be considered outstanding debt. So as we continue to bring our outstanding debt down, that would be, and again, this is only $1 million out of 164 million, so it's a small portion of it. But it also will help reduce, instead of having the money sitting in an account, in a reserve, this will help pay that off, and it also save, like in this case, if you see, it'll save us some dollars in interest. It'll save us interest over the life of these 2 loans.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions on that? We don't. So the action would be to approve.
To approve the prepayment of these 2 state trust fund loans.
Okay. Also move. Okay, motion made by Alder LaFave,
A second.
second by Alder Galvin to prepay the 2 state trust fund loans with principal outstanding of the $955,368.77 using debt service fund balance. Okay,
Yep.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item. Request approval to purchase Motorola radios for the GB Police Department from the Motorola Solutions through Baycom Enterprise for $291,683. Go ahead.
I'm going to turn it right over to Rick Jensen, our purchasing manager.
The purchase of the Motorola radios was in the city budget. There's a little bit that is supported with grant monies. I think we're replacing a total of 62 radios for both the SWAT team and regular officers. I have my technician back here, Jason Bam, and if you have any technical questions. But the Motorola, we develop as a sole source. All of our radios are Motorola so that they are
Communicate.
compatible with each other. So this is a request to fund $291,883 for radio replacement.
And we've talked about this, I think.
Yes.
in the past, so. All right, any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I have just a quick question.
Oh, okay.
And I don't have a problem with this current purchase, but I was recently at a convention for the police chiefs, and I had a gentleman who does not represent Motorola, and he tells me that there's radios out there now that are compatible with Motorola, but cost significantly less than Motorola. I'm just wondering, are we, now that they're making these radios so they have to be compatible, are we investigating that or looking into that?
I would have to defer to the department on that question.
Yes, sir. My name's Jason Babbitt. I'm radio technician for the police department. Sorry. We have attempted to, we've tried some of the other radio brands that are out there as
Okay.
well. We run into issues with ergonomics, functionality, as well as sort of reliability for our officers that are out in the field, whether it's diminished audio capabilities with it, along with functionality and durability. You know, we've had issues of the actual radio won't switch to the channels. We've had other issues like that, whereas with Motorola, you know, short of extending the lifespan of what we've been doing currently, we don't really run into those issues with it.
So what you're saying is basically with these other types of radios, you're getting what you pay for,
Yes, sir.
which is a radio that doesn't work all the time.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jason.
Okay. No more questions. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Okay, motion to approve the purchase of the Motorola radios by Alder Galvin, second by Alder Corpus Dax. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good. Get good radios for our guys. We need that. All right. And you have the next item?
Yep.
Back to it. Okay, now I'm back to it. Discussion with possible action on the award of a contract to the highest scoring respondent for combining the data centers at City Hall and GBPD, including upgrades to equipment and a 5-year maintenance and support agreement.
This project, the results had not been completed when the agenda was assembled for this week's meeting. So I brought the results with me. Mike Ronick from our IT department is the technical expert on what this project entails, and I think maybe now would be a good time to kind of describe what we're doing here.
Okay.
Currently, we have two data centers and a DR site. They all kind of have all the same equipment.
Stands for disaster.
Disaster recovery site.
Okay, thanks.
Something happens to the city hall or police department, we go out there and we can work from there.
Good. Okay.
Saves all our data. We currently replicate all our data to that site live. Now, what we're going to do in this project is both our current equipment at PD and City Hall are end of life and have reached their max storage capacity. So in the past, Department of Justice and Criminal Justice Information System, they prevented us from having commingled data servers and storage. And we currently got that approved, so now we can save money by combining our data centers. And so we'll remove police departments. They'll have total access. Their personnel will have access to it and do their same jobs. But so basically, long term, we're going to save some money doing this.
Why did they used to not allow it?
They're very touchy with their data, and we access a system called Time, and they just wanted totally segregated from non-police personnel.
But now it's not a concern anymore.
No, because we have different encryption standards and we have different
Okay.
software techniques on our hard drives, on our hard drive system. So
Okay.
yeah, so now they allow
Okay.
it. Yeah, we got that approved. Took about 9 months to get that approved. We waited a long time for that approval.
Okay.
So we've got a whole new room for evidence storage?
Which brings me to another subject, is probably long-term, we have a mass data storage problem because of phones. And like a new 5G phone, I see them being advertised, they'll have 500 gigabyte of space storage on them. And if we collect, 200 of those, we'll fill up our current system. So we have to go to the cloud with a lot of our mass data storage like that. And when you look at about 100 terabyte of data or something like that, that costs about $24,000 a year to store. And we have to store that till the terms of imprisonment probably come up, or forever. It's kind of where the technical capability of a phone has surpassed the probably laws that are written now as far as saving data. So going forward, we have to kind of project at how much money we have to lay out for future storage.
So right now, how much data can we store?
Right now we're buying a system for 100 terabyte of video, phones, file server, video, photos, file server, and probably another 40 in database storage.
And what does that cost us a year, roughly,
This project is $438,000 divided by 5. And you'll probably in year 4, year 3.5, you're gonna go look out and spec some new equipment out and prepare for that.
So you're thinking with the new 5G phones, we don't have those yet, correct?
No. And again, I don't really, we have a forensics person, and I don't really know, I can't predict how many phones she's gonna capture and have to store.
Right, can you clarify that? That's when you collect somebody
Yeah.
else's phone and collect their data.
Right.
It's not our police officer's data and
Okay.
the information that he's storing. It's when we collect the phone.
Right, and I've seen,
Evidence.
Evidence.
right, I've seen some information lately on social media, there's a lot of discussion back and forth why the Green Bay Police Department doesn't have body cameras. And do you have an idea about how much data we would have to store if?
I can get you that information just based on other agencies who do that.
Okay.
But that's all stored directly to the cloud through the company that provides the.
But we-
So that doesn't impact us, our storage, it sounds like.
Not currently, because we do not have body cameras, but we have in-car, in-dash car
Right.
cameras and things like that.
But if we did, would that significantly in your, based on what the cars store?
That'd be a significant cost increase, yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Plus other things, like you have to, I think you have to block juvenile data, things like that, so you have to have redaction.
You'd have to have
You know,
redaction.
People, probably a full-time job, somebody redacting data
Oh, yeah.
or videos, so there's some, not just the hardware, it's personnel costs.
Good thing we're not talking about that right now.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, any other questions on the combining the data centers?
No. You see, that's
Um,
the file, yeah.
Action, no, it's to award the contract, right? To the highest scoring respondent, and so who was our camera corner?
Yeah.
Camera corner. Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to award the contract to the highest scoring respondent for combining the data centers at City Hall and GBPD,
Motion to approve it.
including the rest of the stuff. Okay, motion by Alder Galvin, second by Alder Corpus Dax. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 6, update on liability and EPL insurance proposal for 2020. Do we need to go into closed session for this?
I think we should maybe first give you a little bit of background, and then we can decide at that point. I'm turning it over to you, Vanessa, our attorney. Chavez.
So this is coming to you because the request from the council for the last couple of years has been for us to go out and find out what the, essentially what the bids would be if we were to change insurance. They wanted us to shop around. And so what we have right now are preliminary numbers for you all. We have not actually had an opportunity to review it for the quality of the services that would be provided, but we'll be making a recommendation to you all after we've had that evaluation done, so probably next month. And so we want you all to be aware of these numbers, so it's not the first time you're seeing them.
I see.
Having an idea of what to expect.
So we're probably not going to be able to have a very deep discussion today because some of the variables you don't have captured yet. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, there's still some, and the reason we'd be going into closed session is because since we haven't made a determination, we would be looking to to potentially negotiate with whoever it is that we ultimately choose, to provide different services. And so that's what we want to do, is discuss what it is that what we would want.
I
We
see.
do have a pretty good idea, at least of a high level information as far as what each one could provide to us. And then we have some additional questions that we have out there as well. And so right now it's really like what we want to find out what's important to you all.
And that's why we're going to closed session.
Correct.
Okay.
Motion to go into
Closed session, do you want to read the?
Sure.
Motion by Alder Galvin, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Corpus Dax, and then before we vote, you will read.
The committee may convene in closed session pursuant to section 19.85 sub 1E Wisconsin statutes for purposes of deliberating or negotiating the sale of public properties, investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business as necessary for competitive or bargaining reasons. The committee may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to section 19.85 sub 2 Wisconsin statutes to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
Okay. All those in favor of going into closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're going into closed session. Okay.
Are we on? Okay. I'll make a motion and we go back into open session.
Motion by Alder Galvin to go back in open session, second by Alder Corpus Dax. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're in open session. All right. And I will entertain a motion from Alder Galvin.
I make a motion that we direct staff to proceed as directed.
Okay.
Second.
Correct staff to proceed as discussed in closed session, and second by Alder LaFave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Staff go forth. All right. Item 8 is report of the Claims Committee.
Number 7.
I'm sorry, I missed
Yep,
7,
no,
I'm
that's
sorry. Resolution authorizing the 2019 transfer of $20,632.48 from contingency for expenses related to the Oneida Trust matter.
In front of you, you'll see I have a resolution that shows you the details. There were 2 legal firms that we have worked with, and we, to date, have accumulated $20,632.48, and we'd like to request that the resolution so we can move those dollars, so that we are accountable for those dollars that we've already paid out through our accounts payable, and now reduce our contingency for those payments.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the transfer from contingency to the Oneida Trust.
So
Moved by Alder Corpus Dax, second by Alder Galvin. All those in favor?
Aye.
I should have said discussion. Any discussion? No? Okay,
discussion.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, now, item 8. Are there any questions on the Claims Committee?
No,
No?
no questions.
So entertain a motion to receive and place on file.
So moved.
So moved by Alder Galvin, second by Alder LaFave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And report of the Finance Director?
Yes, the one item I want to speak to you about is the capital improvement plan, the 5-year plan. We were very close to having something ready for this packet, and then as we saw the size, the length of this agenda, and knowing personnel was coming up, we decided not to put it on here.
Okay.
So the next question is, do you want us to have it ready for the next meeting of September 10th? Or are you interested in pulling a meeting together sometime in between, knowing that, and then you can focus on and spend time directly on the 5-year plan? Again, we're working with both of the departments. We have now pulled in all that information for a year to 20 to 24, so we've updated it, slid it out a year. We've gotten more detail on each item. We've broken it out into more pieces, so we have more information to share with you.
What do you guys want to do?
Again, next meeting is September 10th, or we could pull a special meeting in between and focus only on the 5-year. We would like to be able to have a chance to review the draft a few times prior to getting to the budget meeting in October.
We're going to the Grand Canyon for 2 weeks during that time, so I have very little
We
availability.
could try to put it on the September 10th one, just knowing that we would definitely have more information and be more ready for it. We could try to send it out slightly ahead of time.
No?
When will you be gone?
21st. I will be around the 21st. That's the
August the
date.
21st?
August, the date I will be around is August 21st.
So next week.
Next week is it, the day after council.
Can you pull it together by the 21st?
August 21st, and what day of the week is that?
That's a
Wednesday.
It's next Wednesday.
Yep, we can have as much information ready that we can put in our packet by Friday morning, yes.
You got.
Do you have a timeline in which you would?
And the department head's going to be involved with this, or?
If they were there, if you had questions for them, I would ask that they be there.
We would like
But if
this a
they're,
little
if they're not
earlier then.
available, they could send us, a
Right.
representative, or we could bring it back to them, because I don't expect that you would be making an action on this. I would
Right.
expect that this would be for discussion, more questions.
More informational.
What about 3 o'clock?
Would
A
that be
little bit
okay with you?
earlier?
Yep, just so you know that that's that special RDA meeting, 1:30 to 3. That's all there.
No, that's the 20th.
No, we're talking Wednesday the 21st,
We're talking the 21st.
Okay.
unless you got your calendar.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's development team meeting at 1:30, but yes, at 3, that would be fine.
Okay,
That should be fine. I have a 7 PM county board, so
Oh,
3
yeah,
should be
yeah.
more than that.
I would say.
And you're right here.
There's gonna be a problem.
Yeah. All right,
Oh,
so
you can
3
just stay.
o'clock, we'll have a special finance
On the 21st, yes.
on the 21st.
Okay.
And we'll discuss the CIP so that we can ask more questions, we can bring you more information back into the September 10th meeting, and then that can roll, and we can incorporate that into, we're gonna keep moving this forward and have that as part of our 2020 budget
Okay?
process.
Okay.
All right, great. That is all I have.
Next week is filling up.
All right, so we are to the contingency fund, 96,042, but soon to be lower.
Minus 20,000.
Correct, we are taking the $20,632 out of it.
And next finance committee will be Tuesday, September 10th at 4:30 PM. I'll entertain motion to adjourn.
It'll be so moved.
So moved by,
August 21st.
I'm sorry, well,
Well,
it's, what do I say? Do
Well,
I say?
the next regular scheduled finance committee
Okay.
meeting would be September 10th.
September 10th.
However, we are going to add this additional August
And
21st.
a special finance meeting will be on August 21st at 3 o'clock. All right, motion to adjourn by Alder LaFave.
second.
Second by Alder Corpus Dax. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.